Hey friends, welcome back to another weekly update. Today is June 12th, and we'll probably drop this tomorrow, June 13th. So thanks for tuning in. Look, today's episode is going to be on customer service, and not just customer service, but creating magical moments, anticipating and fulfilling every need of your customer, especially the unspoken ones. I just got back from a vacation in Florida. Shout out Amex, because those points are incredible. We stayed at the Ritz for 5 days in Naples, Florida. It was an incredible weekend of luxury. And God, it was incredible. I was blown away by the customer service. I was blown away by the property, the landscaping. It was a great time. And me being me, I couldn't help but pay attention to the way the Ritz Carlton treated us as guests at their property. And so I did some research, and I've known about Ritz. I know that they offer $2,000 basically to anyone, any staff member, anyone, a housekeeper cleaning the room can have a $2,000 budget to fulfill a guest's need. And so I started doing some digging and some researching to understand why and how the Ritz Carlton is the Ritz Carlton. And as soon as I say the Ritz or the Ritz Carlton, anyone listening is probably like, okay, yep, luxury, customer service, just above and beyond quality of experience. And here's how they do it. And I have some Ritz moments that I'm going to share with you guys that we experienced. And I was obviously paying attention to these, but they were over and above anything I expected. So before I share with you guys some of those experiences, I want to go through and explain exactly what the Ritz does to provide such an incredible experience for their guests. So first and foremost, their credo or their motto is ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. So it's very upscale, and it's not just people serving people. It's ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. And they have a 3-step service process. Number 1, a warm and sincere greeting. I'm going to share with you guys our experience in that. Number 2, anticipating and fulfilling every need, especially the unspoken ones. And number 3, a fond farewell. But here's what really blew me away. All new employees go through a mandatory 12-day onboarding process. Not just 4 hours or a day, a 12-day onboarding process. And every single morning starts with what they call the lineup, a short daily meeting where the team reviews one gold standard and shares real-life stories of incredible service. This means every single day begins with a reminder, this is who we are. And if you guys are watching this on video, I'm pulling out my K&D Way card, my 30 fundamentals, that is the K&D Way. And the 30 fundamentals at K&D, we're not just another company in landscaping. We're here to raise the bar. Our core values guide us, but these 30 fundamentals define us. From extraordinary performance to unique culture, it's a K&D Way that sets us apart and drives our success. And we go on to list the 30 fundamentals. Well, we actually stole this from the Ritz. And the Ritz has their credo and their standards. And every day at every Ritz Carlton across the world, they recite the exact same standard. So if the standard that day is, hey, a warm and sincere greeting, then they're going to use that fundamental, if you will, across every single Ritz across the world that day. Every day, every Ritz is on the same fundamental every day. It's incredible. And here's where it goes even a level deeper, right? Is I was walking to the pool and it's like afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and there's a Greek restaurant, Sofra, on property. And Sofra opens up that afternoon, and I noticed there was a group of employees huddled in a small circle inside the restaurant as they were getting ready to open up. And as I like kind of peeked in my head in, the chef, the line cooks, the servers, the hostess, the manager, everybody was in that huddle. And I didn't quite hear what they were saying, but I know that they were reciting the credo of the day or the fundamental of the day. And that level of ownership and that level of commitment to service is what makes the Ritz Carlton, well, the Ritz Carlton. So 12-day onboarding process, that one stood out to me. That one really stood out to me. And that's why they can allow every employee, regardless of role, is empowered to spend up to $2,000 per guest per incident to solve a problem or create a memorable moment. To create a memorable moment. Think about that level of trust, that level of ownership with their staff. So that leads me into the Ritz moments. And I'm going to start with this one. We had breakfast the first day. We were there at the breakfast restaurant, and we had walked in with Leela, my wife. She had a matcha. I had my cappuccino that we got at the coffee shop. We walked in, sat down. The manager greeted us, said, "Hey, welcome. Can I get you guys anything?" It was an incredible, just nice experience, right? And we got our breakfast. It was fantastic. And I, if anyone knows me, I drop a fork on the floor because I'm a bit sloppy, I guess. And before I could even pick the fork up, a server that was not even working our table or our area grabbed the fork, said, "1 second, sir," went over and picked up a new silverware, a whole thing, napkin, fork, knife, the whole thing, came over and gave it to me, like without missing a beat. And I think we can expect that at any restaurant, but it wasn't a issue for them. Like, they were happy to do it. They were excited they had an opportunity to create a memorable moment. That was just immediately stood out to me. Now, the next day, and this is where the moment really takes a turn. The next day, we went to the same restaurant to go to breakfast at the same time. We walk in and we don't have the matcha or the cappuccino today because we both noticed on their menu they had coffee drinks, and we figured we'd just order a coffee drink at breakfast. So we walk in, the manager goes, "Hey, Mr. and Mrs. White, welcome back." First off, awesome, great, thank you. That's so nice to be remembered. She goes, "No coffee today." And we go, "Oh, no, we haven't had a chance to go by the coffee shop." She goes, "Well, Mrs. White, would you like a matcha?" And she goes, "Yeah, that'd be great." She's like, "I noticed you had an ice matcha. Is that how you'd like it today?" And she goes, Leela's like, yeah, that'd be amazing. And so the manager goes, "I'll be right back," and gets us seated with the hostess. Well, what I didn't, and then she asked me another cappuccino. Yes, thank you. And as we sat down, the cappuccino came, the manager comes kind of like running back, and our server goes, "Oh," to the manager, "you got a matcha." And I go, "What's the big deal with the matcha?" "Well, they don't have matcha at the restaurant we went to." The manager of the restaurant went across the property to the coffee shop to go and get us a matcha because she noticed that Leela had a matcha the day before, and she knew that they didn't have matcha, so she went and got it for us. She also didn't charge us for that. Like, there wasn't an upcharge. There wasn't even a charge. She did not charge us for the matcha. That right there was that moment where I just was, wow, that's the unspoken preference and delivering without being asked. Now, how do we tie this back to the service industry? How do we tie this back to landscaping and the trades? I can think of a dozen ideas of how we can do this, specifically in maintenance, right? When we know that every 4th of July, that one of our homeowners that we maintain goes way over the top, the flag, the fireworks, they got everything going. Just imagine, without asking and without charging, you gave them an annual color arrangement that was red, white, and blue. Now, that is what we're talking about when it's Ritz level hospitality, Ritz level service. It didn't stop there, you guys. The Ritz moments continued, and it was our anniversary dinner. I called ahead. They had a private dinner option, like private dining. You could have your own little room. And I called and I was like, hey, what's the deal with the private dinner and that dining situation? Can I reserve the room? Is there a minimum spend? I figured there would be. And she goes, well, there is a minimum spend. It's $3,000. And, it's just me and Leela. I go, okay, thank you, but no, thank you. We'll just take a normal table in the restaurant. Like, not a big deal. We're not going to spend $3,000 on dinner. Well, she said, sorry, but, that's what it is, and blah, blah, blah. So we get to the restaurant. It's a nice steakhouse on property. We walk up, and for somehow the hostess from 10 feet away is like, Mr. and Mrs. White, happy anniversary, welcome to dinner. And she looks over into the restaurant, looks back at us, and by the time we get to the hostess stand, the manager meets us at the front and is like, Mr. and Mrs. White, we're so happy that you chose to celebrate your anniversary with us tonight. And I go, wow, this is cool, and the manager goes, I understood you were asking about the private dining option. I'm so sorry we couldn't accommodate that. However, we set you up with your own table, fireside, by the fire. There, we cleared some tables around your area, so you really have this intimate setting. They went and set up an entire bouquet of flowers on our table, just over the top. And our table was a 4-seater table, and it was just 2 of us. And so they sat us facing the fire. So it was literally this big table, and we got to sit facing the fire. And as soon as we sit down, the sommelier comes over, and the somm says, can I get you guys some champagne on the house? I'm not turning that down. Sure thing. Pours some incredibly fantastic champagne. And here we are, sitting down to eat a steak dinner on our anniversary. We've been welcomed by the manager. The sommelier comes over, asks us about wine, gives us some champagne. And before he even leaves, our server's there introducing himself, letting us know that he's taking care of us. Here's some of the specials that they have. And it was just such an incredible experience. And they all said, like, hey, I'm sorry about the private dining. We're so sorry we couldn't accommodate you, but we want to make this as memorable of a moment as possible. And you guys may be listening to this just thinking, well, this just sounds like a nice steakhouse that is taking care of its guests. But the truth is they make you feel so taken care of. At no point do you feel like you need to ask for anything, because they are paying attention to your body language. They are asking you, is there anything else I can get you? The food runner, busser, comes over. Elliot was his name. Like, I remember all these people's names. Enrique was our server, and Elliot goes, here's the bread. Here's what it is. Explains it. Is there anything else I can get you? And I was just kind of thinking, like, I don't remember the last time a busser brought over bread and asked, is there anything else I can get you? And I was like, actually, yeah, can I get a bottle of Pellegrino as sparkling water? And without a hesitation, he's back in 10 seconds with the bottle of Pellegrino. Like, how often does a busser go, oh, let me get your server? I didn't hear that once. And that's what I'm talking about. So I had to come on here. I was going to give you guys a K&D update. What happened? What happened this week? But we were in Florida Monday through Wednesday night, and it was just such an incredible experience. I wanted to share that with you guys, and hopefully this motivates you all to look at how you treat your team, how you treat your customers. What type of ownership are you giving your account managers, your customer-facing people, and how can you go above and beyond? Is there anything in your core values that gives your team the clarity, but also the permission to go above and beyond? Do they have the permission from you or from the ownership team or the management team? And if you are an account manager, you're a customer-facing individual, how can you take ownership of that? How can you go above and beyond for your team and above and beyond for your customers? So that's a message today. K&D, what's going on at K&D? There's a few big things. We're doing our annual price renewal and review right now that we're looking at 2026. As we go into July, we want to start getting our budgets out for our customers and our maintenance team. So I'll talk more about that next week. I'll talk a little bit about pricing methodology and why it's so important to be doing this mid-year, to not only make sure that you're priced correctly today, but you're also pricing correctly for next year and for your renewals. But today was all about customer service, the Ritz Carlton moment, the credo, ladies and gentlemen, serving ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys got some value out of this today. And like always, if you did, drop a comment, shoot me a message on LinkedIn or something. Just love hearing from you guys. Thanks so much for all the feedback I've been getting. I'm going to keep doing these episodes. Look, I'm going to commit to doing them weekly because I've already got some feedback, and I think it's going to be fun for me and hopefully for you guys listening. So with that, it's going to wrap. Have a great, wonderful day. If you're listening to this on Friday when we drop it, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys next week.